Firstly, it's Cambridge. It has a good reputation. The engineering department in Cambridge is well known. Secondly, is a general degree. And I was really keen to do a very general degree to specialize as I went on, because I came in wanting to do mechanical aerospace, some intersection between that engineering. I then last year did information sciences mostly. Now I'm doing biomechanics. So the openness of the degree has allowed me to change as my interests change.
It's the, I don't know, it's the, what do you want me to say? It's that's what I'm going to say, right? It's the best university in England, right? So, okay. Or in Europe, if you, Okay. So, of course I'm going to apply here.
You can say this.
Yeah,
There's nothing wrong with saying that's why you applied here.
Yeah, but I mean that's why, right? But it's also, very nice town.
Okay.
It's historic traditions. It's really nice.
Yeah, I think it really came down to the sort of admissions test. So Oxford has the PAT, so the physics aptitude test, and the style of questions is generally sort of longer questions. The content covered in that as well covers all of A level. So by the time I was doing the ENGA, for instance, I hadn't learned about capacitors and sort of magnetic fields, that sort of thing, whereas PAT assumes that knowledge. And I was generally quite good at doing maybe the simpler problems ENGA, but doing them quickly and accurately. Also, I think the Cambridge course is a bit more practical, in fact, than the Oxford course. Also, I'd visited the Oxford engineering building and it looked even worse than the Cambridge one. So,
sorry, you think the engineering buildings look bad in Cambridge?
No, I think they're terrible in Cambridge, but even worse than Oxford.
I was getting good grades at school, I guess, and also my school really encouraged me because all of the teachers always encouraged us to aim high.
I think the thing I enjoy the most is like how theoretical it is. I don't want to. A lot of people don't like that about engineering. They think they want to do practical labs and stuff like that. But I really enjoy doing just maths. But like, the reason why I didn't apply to do maths in the first place is because I don't see the point in doing maths without a purpose. And I think engineering gives that purpose to maths. So yeah, that's what I really enjoy about the course.
I really enjoy the vast array of stuff I get to learn. That is also something that has its good and bad sides because there's so much to learn all the time, but that always means I'll find something interesting to study. And also, the department is so good, you can always do things in the department. There are projects going on you can participate in, etc.
I really enjoy that there are a lot of resources to get help from. So the supervisors, lecturers, we have Q&A forums in the course pages and stuff like that. And there are also example classes, which are slightly different from supervisions. They're like slightly larger groups of people. And if you get stuck, you have many stages to go before you're left on your own. And so basically you're if you take the initiative to reach out and understand something, you have the resources.
I suppose it is interesting learning about engineering disciplines that you wouldn't have covered had you done, say, a course at Imperial that's already specialised. So, for instance, I wasn't a massive fan of electronics prior to sort of doing the course. But after doing sort of first and second year electronics, it gives you sort of a solid theoretical underpinning to sort of understand really what you're building.
Well, the first 2 years are quite general, so we got to do a bit of everything, and stuff that I didn't know that I would enjoy turned out to be a lot of fun. So I'm glad I did a bit of everything at the beginning, which you don't get at other universities.
I didn't receive any sort of private tutoring help, but where possible, my school would say, if I needed questions, I could go to a teacher after school and they'd print out some questions, like photocopy some questions from a textbook. Or, the teacher that did the mock interview for me, my friends would sit down and work through questions with me if we needed. So I think I had a good support network within my peers.
I didn't really receive much support from my school. They went over my personal statement, that kind of stuff. But I got a lot of support from my parents. So, you know, my dad tried his best to try and help me, despite the fact that he didn't study engineering or anything to do with STEM. And, you know, my parents were supportive. They drove me to my interview. They made sure I was feeling okay when I couldn't eat, like, before the interview and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think I had a lot of, I would say, more like emotional support in my application rather than actual like academic support.
You know those Head Start courses? Yeah. They're called the EDT, Engineering Development Trust or something. Don't do those. Well, can do those if you're minted, but I think what they do is offer like 400 quid courses to come to like Cambridge for like a few days, but they're fairly useless. I mean, unless you want to see what Cambridge looks like and, you know, how it is to live in there, maybe it's okay, but yeah, don't bother doing any silly course which promises that they'll increase your likelihood of, you know, getting to Cambridge by 40%. It's, you know, sort of cobblers.
My school did like extra maths classes in the afternoon for people who wanted to basically do STEM at uni, just to prepare them for interviews better. So stuff like plotting graphs, for example, which is a common interview question. So we did some prep with that, but most of it was just studying by myself. Again, I went to study engineering. It's a really good website.
Okay.
So it was mostly that. No.
I think the only thing I regret is not preparing myself for this step up at Cambridge, because I was so used to GCSE and A levels where my thinking pattern was different. I knew I'd be able to answer every single question every single time, because if I prepared enough, I would know what to do. I might not be able to do it in time. I might make some silly mistakes, etc. But at least it's not something that would be near impossible to learn. Whereas some things in Cambridge, they'll just take me a while to learn. And a year isn't necessarily enough for me to learn every single thing across a degree. If I want to be good at, you know, if I want to be an ace at materials and electrical and mechanics and whatnot, I don't think I'd have the time to do that, given I also wanted to sign up to other things. So I wish I just prepared myself for the balance earlier.
See, this is an interesting question. I put this one in because I don't know the answer to this, and I think most people don't know the answer to this because you don't know what you sacrifice to get to Cambridge. You don't know what other things could have happened to you if you didn't go down this path. So I don't personally regret anything, but I think there is a potential for some people to feel like they missed out on a different kind of university experience or something like that.
Well, it's quite difficult to know really what would I have missed out had I gone to a different university. But, you know, if you're applying to Cambridge, you're probably applying to some pretty good universities as well. So I don't think I would have been sort of, you know, too disappointed if I didn't get in. You can always, you know, take a gap year and reapply, but honestly, most universities sort of cover the same content. Cambridge does it in a slightly, you know, more fast-paced way, and obviously there are other benefits like supervisions and that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, if you don't get in, unfortunately, that might be because the supervisor thinks that you're not suited to the course, and at times the course gets really, really difficult. And, you know, if you're not up to scratch, then unfortunately, they might be doing you a favour, if anything.
I don't really regret much. I think I just perhaps regret, it's not really a regret. I think that I could have taken a better approach to learning through my A-levels because I kind of, just because I could get away with it, I just like learned in a very inefficient way. And that kind of came to beat me back because yeah, you just need to be more time efficient in Cambridge.
I was expecting it to be hard, and it turned out to be quite hard. The course is challenging, but what is different is I was expecting to not have any time to enjoy myself. The impression that I got from people at school was they're not applying to Cambridge because they want to have a social life, or they want to go out, etc. I find socializing at Cambridge much easier than other places, just because not many people really judge you for anything that you do. Realistically, everybody has hobbies that are unique in some way, shape or form. So you're not really judged by anybody for just enjoying yourself, or even enjoying your degree, enjoying studying, etc.
It's a good question. Well, I'm trying now to, just give me a sec, I'm trying to think about what my expectations were, because that's 3 years ago, right? I don't know.
Okay, well,
I don't know,
I'll
really.
ask a different question.
Yeah.
Was there anything that surprised you when you started, like on the course, for example?
Standard credit.
Standard credit. Okay.
Just
standard credit. Explain what standard credit is.
So in the first 2 years of the course, all the coursework you do, it's just for standard credit. So if you do a good enough job, then you just get full marks. That's it. No questions asked. So I thought, we have to. Well, I mean, do you really want me to say that? I thought it was going to be a lot more rigorous, and I'm disappointed by the lack of academic rigor.
I knew a few people who'd got in, well, 2 people who went from my school and got in the year above. So they were actually quite helpful. If you aren't as fortunate as I was, I think many, if not all, Cambridge engineering students are very happy to share their experiences. But the gist I got prior to coming here that it was pretty fast-paced. The course was maybe slightly more theoretical than other universities, mainly because they like to go into first principles quite a lot. And after coming here, I'd say that's mainly correct. One thing I didn't sort of realise was actually the breadth of extracurriculars you can do. So if you're quite a practical person, there are so many engineering societies you can get involved in. The only thing that's really holding you back, in fact, is time.
I had an expectation that uni was going to be less academic. And I know this sounds really weird because you're going to Cambridge, but I don't know. I had this idea that, okay, now I'm an adult, I finished my A-levels. It's going to be hard, but I'll also have more time to, focus on other things other than academics. But I found that it is similar to A-level in terms that you still need to invest a lot of time, or more time than what I expected to give.
I expected it to be really hard, and it was really hard. I think almost everyone will tell you that. The difference is I thought when I came here, everyone was going to be elitist and kind of what everyone thinks Cambridge is. And the truth is almost everyone, well, not everyone, but 90% of people are just nice and kind and help you, and it's a good place to be. Yes, I'm looking at you, Jeremy. Look at this. But yeah, it's a great place to be. I think that's something I didn't expect. I knew it was going to be the academic rigor and that kind of stuff, but I didn't expect it to be a non-toxic place as well. I mean, some people say it's very toxic. Don't get me wrong. Some people say it's a very toxic place. But compared to how toxic I think it could be, I think it's a pretty chill place.